So tonight, we're going to get, I've been threatening this for a while, but we're going to get into the learning portal. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit slower language because I normally talk like an auctioneer, and it's hard to understand. So we're actually going to do this night's presentation on the learning portal, and I'm going to explain it. I'm going to show it, and we're going to walk through it, and we're going to do a couple of little lessons just to get you the feeling of it and to let you know why in the heck we put this together. So we're just going to page up here. What we're going to cover tonight is our normal business of the organization, and then we're going to get into the learning portal, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So we'll do a live portal demonstration. We're going to talk about going from a voter to a candidate, and even if you don't want to be a voter, to be a candidate and learn more about what the whole process is. We're going to talk about scaling it up, and we're going to have a little question and answer if we have the time for it. What I was talking about earlier before everybody came on is that we prepared a quick 30-second video that we're going to play tonight. So hopefully you guys can hear this. I've never done this within the blog post before, but here it is, our little 30-second MST video.
That's awesome, Kenny.
Well, when I did that video, I said to Rosalie, do you think folks will get the message? And I think she was kind of stunned, staring at the screen. Rose, you could speak up and refute this.
No, that was really good.
I'm glad to say something about it. I didn't think it was one bit too. He said, "Oh, I think it was maybe it was a little harsh." I said, "No, not at all. I really liked it."
Well, that little video, it's like 30 seconds. It's on our website on the homepage now. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on all of our Facebook channels. It's actually pinned to the Facebook channel. Please feel free to share it any way you want. Download it, use it, send it out, share it. Don't hesitate to share these things that we put out, okay, everybody? Because that helps, getting the word out on this. But what's coming up right now in October, and it might sound like it's a long way away, but what's coming up in October is not only important for what it is, a municipal election, and the municipal government is the easiest level of government to change, but it is a proving ground for the provincial election that's coming up in 2027. So if we can't get off our duffs and make a change in this municipal election coming up, then there's no point in us doing this anymore, And so I know that might sound harsh, but we've got to get people moving, and it can't be just 3 or 4 or 5 people who are doing stuff. People have to run. People have to support, and I've noticed. I have to admit, Rosa, I'll get to you in just a second. I have to admit that. Wow, there's been an uptick in folks sharing the posts on social media, and that's really good. But we need to take this to the next step. And believe me, whatever you think about municipal politics, we're going to talk about that tonight. It is the form of government that's the easiest to change. It is the form of government that's closest to you and your family. They're the ones cleaning your roads. They're the ones charging you for drinking water. They're the ones taxing you. They're the ones doing zoning. They're the ones that'll put up a 82-unit low rental housing next to your $2 million house. So, and they're the most vulnerable to change. Rosalie, go ahead.
Well, okay, I've got a little bit of an analogy. Well, first of all, I want to say, like Ken says, I think this is the best time ever for any of us to run, and those we encourage those who you have contact with because of the support network that we have. We've never had a Manitoba Stronger Together. We've never been so involved in each other's municipalities. We've never had people step up and say, let's do this together. So this is the best. So you're not going to be a lone ranger out by yourself. I think that's so important because to do something like that for the first time because you care and you're out there like a lone ranger, that's really, really hard. But we're in this together. If you ever do it, like this would be the time. And maybe you think, I'm not made for this. This is too hard for me. I don't know. I'm intimidated. I don't feel like it or whatever. Honestly, and maybe it's not the best analogy, but some of us have had kids, maybe a lot of you, in the middle of the night when your kid is crying, when your baby, like you don't feel like getting out of bed. Believe me, you want to keep on sleeping. I don't want to get up, but you have to. You got to take care of this thing. So part of that, I think, we can also apply to this. We really have to. We have to get up and do something about it, and this is the time.
You know, and you won't be standing up alone. And we'll get to this when we get into the learning portal. But it is our intention that if you decide that you want to run for office, whether that's a reeve or a mayor or a councillor position, you can go on our website. There's a form to fill out. And when you fill out that form, it's going to help you to think through what it all means. And when you fill that form out and you send it to us, it doesn't mean that you're committing to do it. It means, listen, I'm thinking about it. These are some of my thoughts. What do you think? And shortly, we'll start pulling together weekly meetings, training meetings, support meetings. So if you're running in Timbuktu, Manitoba, and we have 5 members in Timbuktu, Manitoba, we're going to talk to our 5 members and see if we can't get them out to bang on doors with you and to help you in that, in all those things. So, and again, by filling out the form, it doesn't, you're not committed, but you're saying, I'm interested, I'd like to know more. And the form will cause you to think about that whole process. It takes you through a number of questions. It takes you through, what do you think about this? And when you push the button, it just comes to us. It's private. We're not sharing it with anybody. And then we'll be able to start the process of actually lifting the veil on all of this. Because I know the learning portal we put in place, it's there for this reason, but we won't just abandon you to go through it on your own. We're going to have, like I said, we'll hold weekly meetings, maybe an hour on, I don't know, Thursday nights or some darn thing like that. And we'll go through it all. And you guys, we will be the most highly qualified, trained candidates this province has ever seen. And I'll tell you something else. They're all watching. The MPs are watching. The MLAs are watching. And if we're able to turn over a number of municipalities, even 3 or 4 of them, and some of them had absolutely 0 votes last time. The town of Donatar, I don't want to pick on them. I don't know those folks, but not a single person in the town of Donatar got a vote because they were all acclaimed. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but this is important. They're watching. They're watching us, and this is the perfect opportunity. We've been visiting with each other now for 2.5 years, something like that. We're all comfortable with each other. We know each other. I think there's some trust developing here. It's now to take it to the next level. In any case, welcoming remarks, we already did. Again, this is what you're seeing on the screen is the blog post. You should have gotten it today. I was a little late because I was doing something all day yesterday with regard to the National Citizens Inquiry, and we can talk about that a little bit. There's all the social media contacts. WMR updates. Anthony, I hear you got an interesting update.
Yeah, there is a bit of an interesting update. The executive director, Jennifer Freeman, has resigned. And I did confirm that today. So she's decided to, I guess, go down a different path.
Any reasons given, Anthony?
No.
But who would want that job trying to sell that organization?
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to that. There's the video this week on the WMR is a really interesting one. Did I say that last week? Because there's so many of them that. Anthony, is there anything else? Has anybody else dropped out that you know of?
Nobody else has dropped out, and for all the municipalities that have not opted out, there's no talk in their minutes or agendas about the WMR. But there is another meeting Thursday morning at 9 o'clock with WMR
Yeah, and
and
that's
their directors.
yeah, and there's a connection to that on YouTube, right? But they
YouTube, yes.
just
Yeah.
so folks know, they don't record those meetings. They're live on YouTube, and there is someone who does record them, and I've been relying on him. But if any of you guys have a chance to tune into that tomorrow, record it. I'm not sure how you do that, but record it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna probably get on from work on Thursday and record it.
oh, wonderful, wonderful. So is there anything else on there you want to say, Anthony, on the WMR?
No, that's about it for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now this, I'm going to play you again, about a 30-second clip here. And this is exactly what you guys were talking about, that they don't know what the value of it is. And this is them talking that, actually saying what you're going to hear is the man talking in this video is the mayor of Headingley. Now, keep in mind, these mayors voted for the Plan 2050 a couple of years back and approved it the way it was. And yet now they're saying, oh, we don't know what's in it. 6 years at about $1 million a year, their budget is. So here it is.
I think the biggest issue in my mind is the fact that I have a hard time on the street selling it. Like I can't think. Like, I mean, one of the challenges, or my 26 years in municipal politics, I've always felt that I could go to a coffee shop with residents and tell them why we made a decision we made. I have a lot of trouble selling this as like what's in it for us as a community. And until we get some tangible evidence that it's actually in it, and I mean, and the province can tangibly say, hey, look, we're putting a $50 million fund on the table for regional plan, for regional projects, or I don't know, pick a number, but I mean, just saying.
But even I got stopped on the street at the coffee shop, and right now we're doing a strategic plan for Cartier, and so we're asking the members of the public to come. And they said, oh, is this about your regional planning? And why are we joining Winnipeg to help them pay their bills? This is the mentality that we're getting.
Yeah, I know.
How do like I said, we don't get paid enough for this.
So that's your politicians not only commenting that after 6 years and over $6 million, probably closer to $10 million, don't really know. They don't know what the hell the plan is. They can't sell it. Oh, but because the citizens are angry about it, what kind of mentality is that? Those are your mayors. That woman speaking, I believe she was the Reeve of Cartier. Somebody could correct me on that. The man who was speaking first, he was the mayor, Mr. Robson, I believe, from Headingley. That's the mentality. After 6 years, they don't know what it is, and they think you're nuts. Let's just move on from there. Last week, of course, we postponed our event at the Mateo Center, and we'll re-announce that. I've left it on here just as a reminder. The MST Learning Portal, I'm still looking for some feedback on it. I know a lot of you have been in it, and maybe all your feedback's bad. Well, let me know. Email me. Let me know. Don't throw an apple at my car or anything, but if you have feedback, just send it to me by email. The WMR clips, we announced that last week. We did one last week. We did one this week, and we've got some doozies for you coming up. So you want to, that's worth the price of admission right there. We've updated on Mr. Abi Khan. You know, we've been negotiating with him for over a month. Well, it was the 12th. It was January 12th we started. What is it today? The 14th, 17th? So over a month. And they agreed to attend a number of times, and they pulled out on us at the last minute again. And now, so I just thought I'd let you guys know. And again, I said in the pre-show that, you know, Abi Khan's a really, really busy guy, but I would have thought he could have done 20 minutes when they promised to. So I thought you just might want to know that, considering there's an election next year. Exciting announcement. We announced this last week about the Stronger Together Academy. I've updated this draft website a little bit this week, but I was distracted on something else, so I wasn't able to get it up and running this week. It will be in the next week or so. This section you're seeing on your webpage right now, we're going to come back to that, but this is just, again, more information about the online learning portal. Where to find it, it's online. This is the cover of it. And upcoming Zoom calls next week, February 24th. Our special guest will be Dr. Nicholas Nelson from Element Chiropractic. He's going to talk about alternative approaches to maintaining and improving your health. It should be an exciting one. I had a long talk with him today. Nice fellow, very knowledgeable. Devon, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, he like I saw him personally for some adjustments, and did a really good job of explaining how things work from the bottom up, and the role that he plays as making adjustments with the body and the bones specifically. So, but even outside of that, how to take care of your health in other ways as well. So he really is a really like he ties everything together. I brought in my X-rays for him, and he pointed out injuries I'd had years ago that I hadn't even really noticed, right? So it's just he really knows what he's talking about, and he explains it really well. I think he'll communicate really excellent with the group.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, we had a great conversation today, and I'm anticipating a good evening with him. Deb, you have the spotlight.
All right. So, Children's Health Defense, formula maker with ties to the AAP, which is the American Academy of Pediatrics, at the center of botulism outbreak that hospitalized 51 babies. This warning originally came out in November 2025. Substack Midwestern Doctor, The Truth About SSRIs, Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitors, Antidepressants, have been brought back into the spotlight. Substack Peter Sweeting, The Shocking Truth About Nestle's Baby Formula Recall. Winnipeg Sun, Feds Give Green Light to Manitoba's All-Season Road Project. Substack, Dr. Mark Trozzi and Dr. William Mackis expose the disturbing rise in turbo cancers. World Council for Health, around the world, medics who undertook to serve and protect the public have faced criminal charges. Children's Health Defense, Florida testing now shows high levels of weed killer in popular bread brands. Slade News, Canadian government green lights on-label genetically modified pork for public food supply. Winnipeg Sun, Interlake Eastern Health Region adds 3 new pediatricians to the Selkirk, Eriksdale, Pine Falls, Gimli, and Arbor areas. There'll be a lot of sharing going on. Children's Health Defense, Moderna shocked after FDA scuttles review of the new mRNA flu vaccine. And with that, we chose as our number 1 win of the week, Substack, Dr. Mark Trozzi and Dr. William Mackis exposed the disturbing rise in turbo cancers. The second win of the week was Midwestern Doctor from Substack, The Truth About SSRI Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitors, Antidepressants. Number 3, Winnipeg Sun, Feds Give Green Light to Manitoba's All-Season Road Project. An honorable mention was Winnipeg Sun announcing the Interlake Eastern Health Regions add 3 pediatricians to serve the Interlake and East Interlake area. And that'll be it for our health news. We'll go next to our health news. And basically what it is about is the consumption of alcohol. And Ken, I'm sorry you took a little bit of offense to it and thought it was a buzzkill, but what brought this on was we had company in over the weekend, and because I have sugar issues, alcohol does become a challenge. You want to be sociable, but you have to be careful. So in the end, we can console ourselves that there are benefits to having drinks in moderation. But there's also risks and toxins. And I think the biggest topic on the weekend when we were talking is how people mix their hard liquor and what they mix it with. And we went down the rabbit hole of drinking cola drinks and how evil that is to have in your hard alcohol. And some claim that it's not really the alcohol that gives them the hangover, it's the cola. Well, so that's still up for debate. But if you want to equate your cola drink, a can of cola equates to 10 teaspoons of sugar. So just think about that. And next week, we'll highlight how alcohol has faster absorption, blood sugar fluctuations, obesity, and weight gain, and alternatives to mixing your drinks, especially the hard liquor, and even to drink a glass of wine for a diabetic. There is a little trick. You still can't consume much, but you can sort of alleviate the problem of sugar going up way high or too low just by taking certain health conservative drinks. And we'll discuss that next week. Thanks.
Thank you, Deb. David, you've had your hand up for a while. Go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt Debbie. Deb.
Certainly. At 4 today, I got an email from Children's Health Defense saying that Rand Paul has introduced a bill, Senate, to remove the liability protection from vax makers.
Yep, that's
It's been
true.
in place for 40 years, and they're finally taking legislative action.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. I did notice that as well. That's good news, actually. All right, then let's get into this presentation we're going to do. What you're looking at on your screen right now is our homepage. Now, maybe before we even get into this, I should maybe just say a couple of words about what we're doing, why we're doing it. Frustration without preparation produces weak candidates. We've got an municipal election coming up in October this year. People want change, but not change just for the sake of change. We want to put into place representatives who are qualified, who we have, and I don't mean necessarily the collective we, but I mean the we of us as individual voters have had the opportunity to speak with them, to get to know them, to understand something about these people that are asking for our vote and who are going to be running our municipal governments. So we undertook, we looked around a lot, and for some of you who've been coming on this meeting for a long time, you'll know that about a year ago, I discovered that the province of Manitoba had I'm sorry for looking away, I'm reading from my notes, but I've discovered that the province of Manitoba had an education and outreach department, and it's headed up by a fellow by the name of Stephen Day. And he's the director, and their mandate is to educate the citizens about their government, how it runs, how do you get involved. And any of you that remember this, last year we got a hold of him in March, and he was going to come on to Manitoba Stronger and do probably a series of 2 presentations on how your government works. And they agreed to that. And then the next thing that happened is a couple of days later, I got an email, or a week later, I got an email from him, from the Stephen Day, Director of Education and Outreach. And he said, well, Ken, I made a mistake. I had something else booked on that day. And I said, well, let's do it another day. So we agreed on another day. And it went around and around like that. And then finally he said to me, Ken, we can't come out and speak to your group. And I said, why not? Because, you're a political group. I said, but we're taxpayers. And that's your job, to come out and educate us about how the system works. And they said, well, we're not going to do it. So following that, I looked around and I couldn't find anything anywhere that we could reliably give our members to explain to them, not just about how to run or how the government runs, how the municipal government runs in this instance, but we also wanted to give you some confidence as to what it meant to be a mayor or what it meant to be a councillor. And we've had several councillors on to talk about that. So the next step that we took was we didn't want to build politicians. We wanted to build competent local leaders who have the trust and a relationship with the residents. So we started to create this learning portal, what we've called a learning portal, because first off, it doesn't exist anywhere that we know of. And what we've done is we've not only pulled together our own information, but we've pulled together information from other sources, government sources as well, and we've developed very practical tools for you if you want to run as a candidate. Now, if you don't want to run as a candidate, it's value to you to go and go through this portal anyway, because you're going to learn a whole lot of things that most of you may not have known before. So I thought before we really get into it, I would give that little explanation as to why we're doing this. Again, we want to build not politicians, but we want to build competent local leaders who understand their residents, understand the process, and know that they're representing the people, not the interest groups, not the UN, not developers. They're representing their citizens. And I think all too often our politicians have forgotten that, partly because we just don't vote. You know, in that 30-second video you guys just watched, I said that in that video, we only get 10% turnout in school board trustee elections. So is it any wonder why the unions run the school boards when they get a 10% citizen turnout? Where, if you recall, we had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and she ran for election on the school boards, and the union, who she was a member of the union for 40 years or 30 years or whatever it was, but they turned against her. And when only 10% of the population comes out to vote, guess what? The union takes over. Guess what? Do you think they're going to be listening to you when you didn't vote? So that's the reasoning behind what we've done. We've put a lot of effort into it. And so tonight, I want to run through some of it with you. I want to make you comfortable with it. I hope you gain an understanding tonight of how you can access this. What is the intent of it? What's in it? And I'm hoping a lot of you will get involved and start taking that course. Now, this course, when you enter it for the first time, you have to put in an email address and you have to make up a password. I don't see the password. Nobody does. It's up to you and the computer. And the only reason we did that is because I want to be able to protect the content. So if I update the content, I can update it in one spot, and the lessons on the website are always up to date. And if we're having a problem with somebody, we can nip that problem in the bud. So with that, what you're looking at right now on your screen is the homepage of Manitoba Stronger Together. Hopefully everybody goes, can't we see that all the time? Now, we've designed this so that perhaps it's a little convoluted, but there's a reason for that. There's a couple of different ways you can start to access this program from the homepage. One is if you click on this where it says Manitoba Municipal Election, and then down here there's a second button that says go into the portal. Now, so the first thing I'm going to take you through is I'm going to take you through the Manitoba Municipal Election button. So if you click on that, and it'll pop up to this page. And what this is you can see it gives you a little bit of information, talks about the municipal election that happens every 4 years. That we created this page to inform voters and people who are thinking of being a candidate. And so it gives you a bunch of information here that you can click on. Videos, all kinds of crazy stuff. But the operable things that we're going to look at tonight are these two buttons. So if you want to become a better informed voter, you click on this blue button, which I've just done, and hopefully it changes. Oh, there we go. And it comes into the I am a voter page. And it gives you a bunch of information. And, in speaking to people over the years, I realized that a lot of people don't even know how to vote or where they go to vote. And so step one on this I am a voter page talks about identifying your municipality, which is where you're going to vote. And you can click on this button. It will take you to a voter map. Or you can click on this button. You can put in your address and it will tell you. Now, these two buttons are leveraged on the provincial government's website. So that's where it takes you to put that information in. So once you understand what municipality you're in, you should know a little bit about what a municipality does. Most people don't even know. You know, a mayor or a reeve is the head of the council. The councils are elected by wards, and then there's school trustees as well who oversee local education. And then it tells you in this yellow box, what do the councils control? Property taxes, municipal budgets, water drainage and wastewater, roads, bridges, snow removal, police, fire, emergency services, zoning, permits, and development. And if you don't think that's important, when they tear down the house beside you and put a 4-story high density, low rental housing unit there, then maybe you'll think it's important. So we tell you why it matters. Learn who's running in your municipality. There's actually sites that show that, but they're not up yet. The province doesn't have to put that up until I think it's 100, and David, you might help me out with this. Is it 160 days or 180 days or 120 days before the election? Anyway, it's something like that, and we'll be updating this when those pages come up. Here's a section that when a candidate knocks on your door, what should you be asking them? Here's some ideas. And again, we're not intending that this is instructing you exactly that you have to do this. What we're giving you is some food for thought. When they come to your house, rather than just kind of blankly looking at them or telling them, get the hell off your property, you can ask them some of these questions. And what that will do as well, it will connect you with that candidate. And if they get elected, there will be some trust there, or at least some connection. And then knowing your voting options, we've got a whole section on that. We've got a checklist for you to use to evaluate your candidates. Here's a section about learning about your current elected officials. If you push on this button, it takes you to a municipal directory, and you can find emails, phone numbers, names, and addresses of all of your mayors and reeves and councillors. By the way, a reeve is just another name for a mayor. Generally, a reeve is like in a rural municipality, and a mayor is in a town. But nowadays, they're kind of used interchangeably. So if you hear somebody talking about a reeve, that's a mayor of a council, and then you have council members. If you want to look and see what happened in the last municipal election, if you push on this button, it'll take you to a map, and you put in, you select the place where you live, and it will give you a list of your mayor and your council and tell you how many votes they got. And maybe it's a good idea to do that. So this is what that button does. It takes you to here. If you go over to this box, you can find, at first it's in district. So let's go to the central district and select a municipality. I don't know, let's select Portage la Prairie municipality. And then you click on this and it shows you. So in the rural municipality of Portage la Prairie, they have a mayor. Guess what? He got 0 votes. He was acclaimed. That means nobody ran against that person. They didn't get a single vote. Look at this one. Garth Asham, Ward 1, acclaimed. Ward 2, acclaimed, 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 acclaimed. Not a single person in the RM of Portage la Prairie got a single vote. Do you think we might be able to influence that municipality in the election when not a single one of them got a vote? And by the way, I just picked that one out of the air. I didn't plan to pick a municipality that actually had no voting. So just so that you know, I wasn't pulling off a fast one here. Let's take another one. How about Roland? Few details. Oh my goodness. This is not pre-planned. So if you look on here, you'll see Roland.
My goodness.
It sure, yeah. They all got acclaimed, every one of them. Nobody ran against them. Here. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to show you what that button does, and you can see what I'm ranting and raving about all the time. And you know, I'm going to click on this one. This is the one to get your municipal officials directory. If you click on that, Of course, it's provincial government, so it's going to take a while. It brings you to this book, and this book gives you everything you want to know: their addresses, their phone numbers, who is on council, everything's in there. So very important. And then we said, here's a form. You can send a letter to your candidate if you want, an email. And if you fill in this form and you push the button, it emails it to them. So you don't even have to figure it all out in your own. You can take it from here. Again, we're not dictating this to you, but if you want to use this stuff, please feel free to go ahead. So that's the I am a voter page. Again, trying to inform voters. And I'm just going to click back. There we go. Boy, I'm amazed this is working as well as it is. And then there's this orange button, which is I am a candidate. And if you click on that, which I just did, so it takes us to the other side. And again, I want to emphasize, even if you're not even dreaming about running for office, you should all take this program. Now, so this talks about why we're doing this. Again, we don't want to put more politicians in. We want to put in competent local leaders. So if you push on this button, it takes you to another page, and it just gives you, the charter. Like, we put together a charter about what we're trying to do here. It tells you what the program is, tells you what it's not. We're not a political party. We're not a campaign organization. We don't fundraise. MST does not endorse any campaign for candidates. The election date and setup. If you decide that you want to get involved with the next step of things we're going to be doing, and that is actual Zoom courses going through the learning modules so that you'll learn, and you'll see what you're going to learn in a moment. You can click this blue button and it will take you to the input form. And a whole bunch of you have filled this out already, by the way. Oh, there we go. And so this municipal candidate questionnaire, this is not only to give us information, and we will get you on the Zoom call and you'll get to speak to folks, right? And you can let people know in your municipality that you're going to be on, and we'll have a nice interview. So anyway, you fill out your name, your email. If you've got a campaign website or a Facebook page, what municipality you're in, what are you running for, mayor or reeve? And if there's a ward, sometimes the municipalities are split up into wards. So you'll have Ward 1 in a certain geographical area, Ward 2 in another one. And then we ask you some questions. And these questions are as much to help you understand your candidacy as it is for us to understand who you are. So why are you running for this office? What are your top 3 priorities? What's your experience, professional experience? What skills and training or background do you have? In your view, what are the most important issues currently facing your municipality or school division? How will you approach balancing the needs for financial resources are limited? How will you ensure that decisions are based on facts, transparency, final statement to voters? You can click a button here and say, yeah, I want to come onto the MST Zoom call and I want to talk to the members. And you can upload files. So if you have a resume or you have a brochure or something, you upload that, you push the button, submit it. You'll get a response back from us immediately. That'll say, yeah, we got your email. We'll get back to you soon. And we just have a little more information on here. So I'm going to go back. And this is similar. I just passed this. Now this takes you into the learning portal, but I just passed it on purpose because just like on the voter page, we have similar things for you here on the candidates page. And even as a voter, this is a little bit more detail. So understanding the role, what is a mayor or a reeve? What is a counselor? What is a school trustee? Clarify your motivation and core message. Build the professional profile. Learn the rules. So this is the candidate's guidebook from the province of Manitoba. You click on that, it takes you to that. These things will be updated. Currently on these buttons with the province, they still have the booklets and the rules in from the 2022 municipal election. They'll update that shortly, and I'll update the links. Now here's the official nomination forms. Here's some of the information about the laws. We talk about running an ethical, respectful campaign. We talk about transparency. We talk about the official requirements to becoming a candidate. And there's a button here again. It takes you to the provincial government's elections page. And we talk about the questionnaire, and then there's the questionnaire. So now we're going to go back up, and we're going to do the moment you've all been waiting for. We're going to push the Open Learning Portal button. Now, if you haven't been here before, it would go to it, instead of coming right to this page, there's going to be a black screen. It's going to ask you for an email and a password. You put them in. Next time you come, it will remember you, and it will just take you into this learning page. So when we get into this, there's a welcoming message. And then the lessons are grouped into different modules. And there's 8 modules right now. The first one, why are you running? What are you really running for? And when you go through these lessons that are associated with this, and I'll show you in a minute. Actually, I'll show you right now. When you click on this and module 1, it will show you this page that it says module 1, what are you running for? It gives you a little bit of an introduction. And then you'll see in module 1, there's 5 different lessons, and there's a worksheet at the end. So if you click on, let's say lesson module 1, item 1, it takes you to this, and it talks about how do you figure out what in the hell are you running for? It's not just because you're mad, I hope. And it talks to you about, what the powers of a mayor and a councillor are. They're limited. And so you need to understand that, what kind of responsibilities are there? What kind of limitations are there? And it goes through that. So you could see lesson 1 is like, what is that, a page? You could read that in 5 minutes. And then there's some navigation buttons here. So this takes you to the previous lesson. This takes you to the next lesson. This goes back to the module table of contents, and this takes you back to this page. Go ahead, Deb.
I was just going to ask, Ken, would it be too sassy to send this to our present council?
No, not at all. Just send them a link.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And you can see after every one of these modules, I've just slipped back to module 1. Remember, module 1 is what are you really running for? And at the end of all of these modules, there's a self-assessment worksheet. So you click on that, and you can go through this. And you just answer the questions, and that'll give you an idea. Did I really understand what was going on? And that exists for all of the lessons. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to the main table of contents. That was this one. So that was module 1. Module 2 is talking about how municipal government actually works. Module 3 talks about one of the important things that councils do is they deal with budgets, taxes, spending control. And we talked to you about that. And I'm just going to click on that one. And you'll see there's what are there? There's 5 different lessons here. One is municipal budgets, how are they built, taxes, fees, and revenue sources, capital planning, long-term commitments, blah, 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 blah. And again, you'll see there's a worksheet at the bottom. And then you want to go back to that main menu. You click on the blue button, and we go back. So then the next one's law, ethics, and conflict of interest. You always hear about conflict of interest. You always hear about what we talked about the other day when the mayor of Springfield went a little off the rails at a council meeting. And by the way, he apologized in the following meeting, and I did post that on Facebook just to be even. So anyway, we got a module on laws and ethics. You got a module on institutional capture. What are we talking about there? We're talking about pressures like from the WMR, for instance, regional pressures. We're talking about the sustainable development people coming in and talking to you. And we're talking about the developers coming in and talking to you. So there's a lot of pressure there. And in module 5, and there's a description. And then you'll see this is just a brief introduction of what we're going to talk about. And then it's regional influence, institutional capture, peer pressure. Amazingly, I had coffee with a mayor a week or so ago, And I said to that mayor, what in the hell's going on in the WMR board meeting? I said, we've got somebody who records them and we're going through them. And I said, I can't believe the things that are being said. And not a single mayor at that table objected. And that mayor said to me, well, Ken, if you object or you say anything against what they're talking about, you get ostracized. And I'm looking at that person and thinking, are we in grade 5? You're worried about standing up to pressure, peer pressure. That's what Module 5 is about, peer pressure and isolation. We're adults here. They're not your friends. Anyway, so if you think that this topic isn't relevant, it is. This was a conversation I had a week or two ago. We've got a section about media, framing and narrative pressure, resisting pressure, self-assessment worksheet, and we'll go back to the table of contents. And that was then campaign readiness. So now from lessons 1 or modules 1 through 5, we're essentially, what's the job about? What are the pressures? What do you do? How do you do it? What do you look out for? What are the laws? Now we're getting into campaigns. Module 6 is all about campaign readiness and public engagement without campaigning. And the reason I put it that way is legally, until the official announcement comes out, there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. Now, the problem is that the official announcement and you being able to sign up as a candidate doesn't happen until 4 or 5 weeks before the actual election. So if you wait till 4 or 5 weeks before the election, it's going to take you a week or so to get your act together, get signatures and get registered. And you've only got like 3 weeks left and you're trying to raise money. And that's why people who get elected keep getting elected year after year. So we talked to you about how do you prepare for that ahead of time? What are the things you can do before the official announcement and before it's registered to build your base and build up people knowing who you are before you can actually sign up as a candidate? So before you sign up as a candidate, you can't go out there and give speeches and say, I'm a candidate for the RM of whatever, and I need your vote. Can't do that. You can say, I'm Ken Drysdale. I'm thinking of running for mayor of such and such a municipality, and I want to talk about some of those issues. You can do that. You can't say, donate to me, but you can get pledges that when and if you register and become a candidate, then at that time they pledge to give you donations. So all of that's here. Campaigning readiness, public engagement without campaigning, message clarity, personal grounding, door-to-door direct conversations. And municipal election, the most important thing is door-to-door. You're going to go bang on doors. And believe me, I talked to a lot of candidates, and I know it doesn't sound, you're thinking I'm making this up, but most of them tell me that's the most enjoyable part. Public meetings, how to manage your volunteers and supporters, transitioning from when you get elected, transitioning from candidate to elected official. And again, that self-assessment worksheet. And I'm just going to click on one. Let's click on the door-to-door one. So we talk about it. When you go door to door, you should be listening more than speaking. And it talks about that. Asking questions that reveal concerns. The other thing that does is it gives you, it's like you're taking a Gallup poll of your citizenry and you're listening to them instead of preaching to them. And you're going to get disagreements. We tell you how to handle that, why the trust is built, and then a closing reflection. And again, you can see, I think there's 59 or 60 of these lessons, but you can see they're one-pagers. Nothing there. It's not a big deal. Just going to go back one. So that's 6. And then we get more and more practical as we go down the modules. So module 7, everybody's probably getting dizzy, is campaign planning, compliance with the laws, and practical readiness. We're going to click on that. And you can see, start now, why early preparation matters. I mean, Anthony, you're still there. I hope you haven't fallen asleep on me, but you remember during the federal election, you guys had like 3 or 4 weeks to pull together your campaign, to get the signatures. There was ambiguity from Elections Canada about how many signatures you needed. And there was only, what, 4 weeks? Anthony, you there?
Yeah. Yeah, 4 weeks.
So you're going to pull together you're going to pull together a national a campaign for federal election in 3 or 4 weeks. Elections Canada doesn't know how many signatures you need. You're going to waste a week. So that's why we're saying you've got to get going on it now. Why early preparation matters. And we give you practical stuff in here. There's a difference between being early and rushing. And that explains it. And again, there's a planning the campaign. There's a lot of modules in this one. There's what? Nine of them. Election day and beyond, volunteers, momentum and discipline, public presence, what you actually need. And frankly, in a municipal election, you don't need a lot. The most important thing is door knocking, believe it or not. Now, as if that wasn't enough, you heard me say that before, I bet. As if that wasn't enough. Oh, go back into this. I want to take you to the last module, Module 8. Module 8, and I keep expanding it every day when I get questions from you guys or I think of something new. But Module 8 is it's a do-it-yourself book. So the first lesson is how to prepare a campaign CV. And it actually explains to you what you should have in your CV, how you should put it together, what it should say, what it should not say. And then there's how do you do door to door? We tell you. We've got a step-by-step explanation of why it matters and how you do it, how to prepare before you ever knock, what to bring, mental prep, best days and times to knock, how to do the knock. The first 10 seconds, let them respond. So these are practical step-by-step guides, like you've got one of us standing beside you whispering in your ear, frankly. And I want to go to the last one in that one so far. Now, no, sorry. This button I do want to show, and I want to show another one here. These are additional links. These are all links. Elections Manitoba website, and I give you all of those addresses and what they mean. The Association of Manitoba Municipalities, City of Winnipeg election site, Province of Manitoba, school boards. Now I want to go back to the module because I'll show you a button here that is only on here because one of our members said, "Hey, Ken, I've got a question." And their question was to me, if they owned a piece of land in, let's say, the RM of St. Clements, but they lived in the city of Winnipeg, that's where their primary residence was, can they run for office in the RM of St. Clements, where they own property? And so when they asked that question, I put together this whole new lesson on here about your candidate eligibility. And to answer that question, by the way, you can run for municipal office in a municipality which is not your primary residence, as long as you own land there and you pay taxes there. But you can only run for one office. So in other words, you can't run for office in Winnipeg and run for office in a municipality. You can only run for one office at a time. So this is just an example of, that we respond when people ask us questions, and instead of just answering it with an email to this person, I did that, and then I put together this whole extra page. And so it tells you, it's a practical field guide about candidate eligibility. Now, I could go on all night, but I'm not gonna, because it's now 2 minutes to the end, and I'm going to ask folks. Oh, Rosalie has her hand up. Sorry, Rosa, I had something over top of your screen and I couldn't see you. So go ahead.
Oh, I just put it up. It's okay. Now, I might have been, maybe you talked about this and maybe I was daydreaming or something. So sorry if you've already covered this. But I wonder how much this might be a factor in people's consideration to let their name stand or run for a position. when they're not sure that they have a handle on all the issues in their municipality? What if they go to the door, knock on the door, and somebody says, "Well, what do you know about this? This thing really bugs me," and like all of a sudden you're sitting there like a deer in the headlights, looking like an idiot. How to prepare for that? Like how do people who want to run? I mean, is it possible to get a handle on all of the issues? I mean, or what do you suggest there?
Well, that's all in module 8. And we talk about what to do door to door, how to answer questions. And we tell folks that the primary, believe it or not, the primary reason you're out there knocking on doors is so that you can hear what people's concerns are. And if you don't know the answer, and then we give you this instruction in module 8 on the here. No, that's media, sorry. So we even have a guide for each on media, you know, how to understand the local media, newspapers, podcasters, social media, what to do, what not to do. But back to Rosalie's question, we do have that section in the door knocking, practical guide to door knocking. Sorry, I'm got myself all. Oh, here it is. So we do have that in there. So again, use it as a guide. If they bring up something, say, "Well, I'm not aware of that. Can you tell me something about that?" And I'll get back to you. But if you're going to say that, you make sure that you do. Go ahead, James.
Exactly what you said, Ken. If you've been in sales, you get a billion questions in sales. You just have to come across as you're legitimate and honest and say, you know what, I don't know right now. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Absolutely. And get back to them, you know, because they'll tell their neighbors, that guy showed up here and never came back to me.
100%.
Is there any other questions? Oh my goodness, everybody's asleep.
It's the Olympics. It's putting everybody to sleep.
I have a question, Ken. What about for someone like myself and Cameron? We don't actually own a house. We just rent. Can you still run for council if you don't actually own property?
You know what? That's a great question. And I don't know the answer to that, but I will get back to you with an answer. I don't even know. I don't recall that coming up when I wrote that section about eligibility, but I will look that up. And I will email you, and I'll bring it up and just to update folks next week, but I'll email you when I find out. Go ahead, Brad.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe I could answer that last question. As long as you are a resident of some sort in the municipality within the 6 months preceding the election, you can run for a position on council from Reeve/mayor to councillor.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you know, you're right. And I remember that was in this module 8. I'm just flipping over to it now. I'm not trying to make anybody sick.
But that wasn't the reason why I raised my hand.
Oh, go ahead.
It was because I have to congratulate you, Ken, on the thoroughness of this little project that you put together. It is absolutely stunning because I ran for a councillor in the RM about 10 or 12, actually 12 years ago. And this is just blows me away, all this stuff that I should have been doing and a lot of lessons that I learned to apply this coming round. So Ken, kudos to you and your effort. And I would imagine there was a little bit of AI agent working in there along with you to put this all together because stunning, just stunning, Ken. Thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I use that extensively as a tool, but I warn anybody who does use AI, it hallucinates a lot of times and it will make stuff up. So you better make sure you know what the answer should be and you're just using them as a kind of a research assistant and a typist. You know, consider that you've got a junior assistant and you're going to check their work, but they do great work. Go ahead, Charlotte. Unmute yourself. That's not Charlotte. You're still not unmuted.
Is that Dorothy?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That was nice of you, Brad, to say that. Thank you.
Okay, couple of things you should know when you're running for office is you cannot have a municipal building, a municipal park, or any municipal property on your pamphlet. You cannot take the logo, you cannot take the administration building. Now, a mayor was caught doing that in the last election and got conflict of interest. So I don't think she can run again. I'll tell you later who that is. I won't say it on there, but She was caught for conflict of interest on that.
Well, that's
so to the rules, she can't run again because that's an election infraction.
Yeah. But
having said that, the other thing I was going to say to you is when you're knocking on doors, I as a counselor, I went through my ward 3 times. Okay, so that's why it's important to start early, because you want to make that round at least 2 times, if not 3 times. And the first time you go, it's just to introduce yourself. Find out what the issues are, because they're going to blast you with the issues and what they're mad about. You take that down. That's when you say, okay, I don't know about this, but I'm going to look into it.
Yeah.
Then you come back the second time, and now you know the issues, and you can speak intelligently about them. And that's you also get a voter roll. You'll get that from your RM. It's a printout on an Excel spreadsheet of all your voters in that area. Now, they're not all going to be on there because some people move in the last 4 years. And also, don't waste your time with people that have been there less than 6 months. They can't vote anyways.
Yeah.
So if you go to a brand new apartment block, you're probably going to waste your time because they're not going to be able to vote. So don't waste your time there. Mm-hmm. But they'll print out the voter list. You print that out. You take it with you. You mark down who you've talked to. And then also mark down if you think they're positive towards you. Because later on, when you're looking for votes on election night, you can send a driver out there if that person hasn't voted yet. That's the point of your scrutineers, is you mark off who's come to vote. You mark that off on the polls. And then if that person that was positive towards you didn't show up, you can phone them or send a driver or whatever. But you don't have any emails and you don't have any phone numbers. So that's why you got to knock on the doors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like knocking on doors. I do it, but it's not one of my most favorite things because you can really get a lot of upset people on the other end. But I've had really good experiences with it as well. But that's where you're going to get your votes.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it necessarily out of your brochure or your media clips. They all help, but your votes are going to come from you going to that door, because people will say this. They'll say, if you can't come to my door, you don't deserve my vote.
No.
That's what everybody says. If you can't show your face and introduce yourself, you're not going to get my vote. Even if I don't know any of the other candidates, whoever came to my door, that's who's getting my vote.
Mm-hmm.
So just a couple of tips there.
Well, I think it's important to let folks know that the lady that's talking, name is not Charlotte. She's actually a sitting councillor in West St. Paul, and she's been on the Zoom call before. If you look at your screen right now, in this, under the modules, and you keep going down, you'll see that I put in a bunch of videos. Remember I reminded you that we've had elected officials on to talk about what it's like to be a councillor. This is the one where we had these 2 fellows from Springfield. This is the lady you were just listening to, Dorothy Kleiber. We had when Abby and Wally were running for leadership, we had them on. We had this had to do with the council meeting where we got them to stop that high density housing project, just so they can see how a council works. This is a blog post where we analyze the last municipal election. We go into the numbers and stuff. So that's important for you to see. Again, I want you, if you're thinking, if you're even entertaining being a candidate, I think one of the things that scares people off is it's a black box. You don't really know what's asked of them. You don't know what the responsibilities are. You don't know a whole lot of things. And the idea here is to open up that black box. We've talked about how much time a councillor spends on average at a month, and we've had different candidates come on and talk about that. So before we leave, I'm going to read this off. I did write something. I wanted to leave everybody with a simple message. It's very direct, which would be a surprise coming from me. In October of 2026, ballots will be cast across Manitoba. Most people will vote based on signs, name recognition, and a few short conversations. Very few will understand how municipal government actually works. This is not an insult, it's just reality. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If competent people do not step forward, then governance does not improve. As a matter of fact, governance consolidates, it drifts, it gets more procedural, more bureaucratic, and even more isolated from the residents. Municipal government is where zoning decisions are made. It's where tax increases come from. It's where regional structures quietly expand. It's where property rights are either defended or constrained. And it is the one level of government that is closest to you and your family. That means it matters. But caring is not enough. Being frustrated is not enough. Sharing posts is not enough. Preparation is what separates a concerned citizen from a capable candidate. That is why this portal exists. It's not about ideology. It's not about partisan politics. It's about competence. It's about understanding leverage, understanding budgets, understanding process, understanding pressures, and then deciding with clarity whether you're willing to carry out that responsibility. So here's the challenge. If you have ever said, someone should do something, ask yourself tonight, why not you? And if not you, who? And if you're not prepared, then how? We are building something serious here. We are building people who understand the system before they enter it. If you're even considering stepping forward, talk to us. If you know somebody who should be running, send them here. Outrage makes noise. Preparation builds institutions. Let's build something that lasts. Go ahead, Connie.
I just wanted to say this information is just amazing. So much work went into that. We could all tell by looking at it. And I think it's going to be helping a lot of the municipal people or candidates that are going to be running that come from this group. I wanted to know, do most candidates go in to with an agenda, that stuff they want done? Or do most of them, I know that's a silly question, or do most of them listen to the citizens?
In my opinion, a lot of, and I could be wrong on this, in my opinion, most of them don't know the issues that the citizens think are important. I mean, they know they're not supposed to be raising taxes and stuff, but with regard to things like high density, low income housing, with regard to water and sewer services, wells, that kind of stuff, I don't think most of them know. And I'm going to stick my neck out on this. I have never seen such a group of uninspired people in my life. That doesn't mean there aren't some fantastic people out there, but when I go to council meetings and I look at, the attention span, I look at the understanding that they have, I shake my head and I wonder what the heck they're doing there. And then when I go look at their vote and I find out nobody voted for them.
Explains it.
I mean, I know a mayor who's, of course, gets the salary from being a mayor, is on the board of the Winnipeg Metropolitan Region, so they get paid there. They're on the Red River Planning Committee, paid there. They're on the John Q. Public Board, so they get paid there. And in the meetings that I watched, although I'm going to show you one, they never say anything. So, so I don't know. I've meandered from your question, but Peter, go ahead. You've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer the same question, Ken, and I'm kind of agreeing with you. I spoke with Harold Neufeld. I don't know if you remember him. He was the Minister of Mines and Energy in Philman's government. And he said that most people run for the money. I was really surprised when he said that. But most of the politicians at the provincial level, you haven't heard of. They're backbenchers.
No.
And so that's their motivation for running.
Yeah.
And my opinion, this is my personal opinion, that most people who do run that you do know of that are in the front benches are either independently wealthy or broke.
Yeah.
Because then they're giving up nothing to run.
Yeah, you got a point there.
I think you're right, Peter. I have heard that before. It makes sense.
Go ahead, James. Last comment.
We can't lose hope. We are all on the right path and we'll get there. We gotta have patience and we gotta put up with a lot of BS, but we're gonna get there. This is the program, folks.
Yes.
And it'll happen. It'll happen.
And like I said, folks, if you want to know more, fill out the form. It doesn't commit you. That's not signing a contract. That's just saying, hey, I'm interested. I want to know more. I can include you when we start meeting on our, I don't know if it's going to be Thursday or whatnot. I keep saying Thursday. That's a pretty good night for me, but we'll do a once a week starting in a couple of weeks so we can go through that whole learning thing. We can have conversation and we can start trying to find you people in your area that can help you run so you're not alone. And we're going to bring in folks. We're going to bring in people like, I haven't asked her permission, but Dorothy and Ken Lee and Andy, we're going to bring them in and just have a chat with you and tell you about some of the high points, some of the low points, what you should look out for, give you advice, someone you can bounce something off of.
And when this one's done and ready, let's everybody share it with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Share it. Anyway, everybody, that was, we're 15 minutes over and, but I think it was time, as they say, time well spent. Anyway, everybody, have a great week. Again, next week we've got Dr. Nelson on. Hey, maybe we'll have Stephen. Maybe we'll have Stephen Day on. The director of Manitoba Government Education and Public Outreach, to come on and teach us. But it's not. Have a great week. I'm always in trouble, so that's part of the course.
See you guys.
Love you all.
Bye.
Love you guys. Thank you,
That was
guys.
a good one.
So good.
Bye, guys.